Alright then, game 5, let's do it. It's going to be Arabia again because those were the settings, so I guess I can briefly read them all now. So what they did was they did Arabia, SY map pack, full random, Nomad, and then Arabia again to finish if it got to that stage, which it has done. And looking at this rec, I can already, like the rec viewer, the rec loader, I can already see that it was 3v3 all along. So the fact that I was been saying like it's gonna become 4v4 at some stage and being like more and more insistent that I'm sure I saw them playing 4v4 at one point, I was completely wrong. So personnel the same. So SY did let Moonlight and Lix play the first two games, but it's been the kind of trademark trio for China of Paladin, Yo and Love Cheng from game 3 onwards, and that's the point when they started winning. So maybe Paladin was the difference for China. Maybe he was the one who brought some much needed strategic nous to the team. Miguel even talking to Yo here. Looked like they were actually arranging the team that they were going to use to play the China versus Brazil 4v4. That's pretty interesting. See like how far in advance they were actually planning that, because I think there was probably at least a week between these games and the Brazil ones, I would have thought. Anyway, let's have a look at this particular game. 3v3 Arabia, no surprise to see Huns, Mayans and Mongols. If you see anything else ever at the highest level of competition in a 3v3 Arabia, I'd be shocked. It's pretty much the power trio as I often refer to it, but we've got, let's have a look where the flanks are. We've got red v blue over here, so let's start there. Got Paladin playing Mayan flank, always nice to have. Looking at his map, he's got a pretty nice map. It's very, very closable. The Mayans are kind of forward, especially like second and third gold, but main gold and stone should be able to be very protected with a few walls, and he can close off quite well on the whole. Will he go for the boar steel over here? Let's keep an eye on that. But he's definitely got 2 sheep from Zuppy. Gonna take the boar and may even get another 2 sheep on the way back as well. This would be a huge steal. This would be a kleptomaniac play if he manages to get all of this. But Zuppy should at least get the 2 sheep back. Or make sure that those 2 sheep are his. We'll just keep an eye on that whilst we observe that Zuppy is Mongol's flank with pretty nice map. That main goal is really close to him. But although we did see some forward stone for him there, actually we see 2 stones forward for him. Not the best when you're Mongols, and especially not that great when you're playing Mongol flank against the Mayan flank, who's going to be really strong in kind of early Imperial Age especially. So at the point when you as a Mongol player are looking to get your castles up, if you've got a Mayan who's a little bit ahead of you, pushing really strong in the early Imperial Age, and that in itself is taking away your stone as a Mongols player that could like new to your Imperial Age power and see you struggle to make that transition into Elite Mangudai and stuff like that in the Imperial Age. But whilst I've been saying all that, we've been observing this successful boar steel coming in for Paladin. So Mongols, Zuppy, gonna be down a boar. At least with the rest of his map, he's got a couple of other fairly nice golds backward, and this is a disgusting double deer patch, which will more than make up for the boar, especially as he already has a mill on it. Did he? Yeah, that's his first mill, right on the berries and right on the deer and not on the berries. Let's just take a look quickly at other flanks, see if we see like anybody who might have extra boars under their TC. I can hear one coming in for Pike. Where are their scouts? That one's down 12 HP, and that one's down 0 HP. So did Pike get a steal as well? No, he didn't. And the boar actually does 7 damage, doesn't it? So I'm not quite. I guess Pike must have just run into the TC a little bit. But yeah, Zuppy will be fine over there. Let's continue to look at the civilizations. Got Pike playing Mayan flank, so both flanks are Mayans, which he's facing off against Hun flank, which is I always find an interesting dynamic as well, because as Huns, like if you don't manage to damage the Mayans, and especially if they manage to kind of close their map a little bit and get that early Imperial Age power push against you, it can be quite difficult when you're just a couple of steps behind them quite often. And then in the pockets, we've got Max playing Hun pocket. I think that was that was the first game, wasn't it? It was Max playing Hun pocket, which I was saying really nice to have Hun pocket, because in a 3v3 you've got to help out both your flanks, so having one of the best knight pockets in the game is obviously really nice. Then we've got Yo in Mongol pocket, so it'll be interesting to see the kind of difference in strategy between the two teams. If it manifests that Yo goes with more of a boom approach, doesn't go as heavy on army as the Max does, and therefore the Finnish team have an advantage in Castle Age, being more heavily supported by their pocket. That is a possibility. Alternatively, like, Mongols are perfectly fine for doing decent amounts of knights or potentially camels in the Castle Age as well. But when you get that Mongol pocket, the temptation can be there to have that more boom-oriented approach. We'll have to see. Yo being a bit of a nuisance here, just interfering with Max's attempts to push his deer. Scouts on basically the same HP actually. Pike drushing. Drush doesn't seem to have left his base just yet. I'm going to check his point of view and see that he's... yeah, third militia just about to come out. Whereas Lovecheng is on his way up already. Looking at his eco, it looks like scouts, which aren't going to be that effective against Pike, who's going to have his base more or less walled off by the time those scouts start to do anything. Weird kind of main gold position here for Pike, but there wasn't really a secondary gold or second or third gold that seemed tempting to take instead, so he's going to have to take his main gold from on the other side of a forest and from outside of his main walls, which is a little bit precarious potentially. Oh, I completely missed that barracks going up. What the hell am I talking about when I was saying Lovecheng was going scouts? So Lovecheng with the fast uptime and then making militia afterwards, so are we going to see man-at-arms from him? If so, he won't want to engage this drush like this. Presumably he wouldn't consider getting that at this point. I think it's going to be more drush flush into archers. But I wondered whether his original plan was to go forward with it. Anyway, let's take a look at the left hand side. Paladin drushed. Looks like he may even have lamed a couple of deer, which will have been annoying to Zuppy, considering that he was using that to make up for the lost boar. But as Mongols, he's been on those deer for such a long time that he probably got most of them in. I doubt it's going to leave him too low on food at this point. Should have enough, I should think, to click up at a decent time if that's what he wants to do. Gonna see his reaction now, what buildings he puts down. Gonna do archery range, blacksmith, try and push away that drush, and then probably make his way to the Castle Age in good time. Paladin actually a little slower to the feudal age than Zuppy was, but clicking up with more villagers again. We saw this earlier. He seems to, when he drushes, he seems to like going up on pretty high population, lots of villages as well as the drush. You know, like 34 pop drush. counting the militia. For the Max, he's going to go with the 2 stable approach. I like to see this, making use of the Hun stable, but he's going to go aggressive with lots of knights straight away in the Castle Age, trying to support his flanks, maybe just going fully aggressive on one of the enemy players. Like, an option is that if Yo was trying to boom more, then going fully aggressive against him could work, although the Mongol player can of course defend with camels as well. So dynamic to play out there. The Drush for Paladin, gonna try and try and be as much of a nuisance as possible, but even a couple of archers for Zuppi is ultimately gonna nip that in the bud. Paladin on the way to the Castle Age, but Zuppi beat him there, despite Paladin stealing his boar. That just shows you, if you get a mill on a double deer patch as Mongols, then you're just gonna be able to absorb the loss of that boar so easily, really. But of course, there is a population difference. There are 4 villages between Zuppi and Paladin. Yo closing everything off and doing 1 stable, so might elect to do some knights and mix with some camels to try and cost effectively help defend against the Max, whilst taking a more of an economic macro oriented approach to reach the late game in healthier shape and quicker as Mongols. So Paladin Drush flush archers, as we said. Gonna take a look at his resources, because that's going to be pretty important. Oh, not Paladin, I mean Yinghua. Okay. Yeah, going to take a look at Lovecheng's resources, and he did Drush flush and he's done basically no damage with it at this point. And in terms of resources, he's a long way away from the Castle Age right now, whereas Pike is halfway there with 6 less archers than Yinghua has, than Lovecheng has, but ultimately, he'll be able to make that up. And I think getting to the Castle Age is in much better time. It's gonna be a better thing for him ultimately. I kind of fear for Paladin at this point, because I feel like he's gonna be a little bit behind Pike, and in a civilization matchup where the Mayans getting to the Imperial Age faster can be really dangerous for the Huns. That's slightly ominous there for the Chinese team. Going knights straight away from that 1 stable to start off with. I don't see a second that he added in, and immediately dropping 3 TCs. So very macro-oriented approach for him there. But Max doing basically the same. It seems like he did a couple of knights from each stable, and then is probably not going to keep each stable pumping, and he's going to do 3 TCs himself. You can see both stables idle now, so it looks like he just wanted to get good number of knights initially and then stop producing from both stables and just go 3 TCs. So he won't really fall behind Yo at all, although Yo will probably get onto a 4th TC at some point, especially if he just stays 1 stable. Seems like the player's struggling with lag. They're asking to restore, and I knew that was coming at some point, because there are 2 parts to the recorded game. I do have that second part, so not to worry. We'll head right into it. Okay. Seems that we didn't lose any time or anything like that. Max and Pike doing a little bit of hunting outside Yinghua's base. Might be able to pick up a couple of elves on this wood line. There are enough crossbows there to easily one-shot a villager, but Pike sees it with the aid of that the line of sight from his barracks and peels the villagers away in time, but even so, that's a nice little bit of economic damage in terms of inflicting idle there. Yo continues to have a very, very compact base, which he's booming up inside. Lovecheng gonna try and make the best of that hill to defend his goal at least, but he won't be able to stop the Finnish team from breaking through this unfortunate one-tile palisade that he did there. That is going to end up being like a significant vulnerability for him. Like, he potentially could have done his archery range just a touch to the up and to the right and then not had that that vulnerability. But he's at least sealed it up again for now. Let's see what's happening on the left. Paladin going plumes straight, well, did castle and then going into plumes. 2 TC at the moment, 3rd TC coming up for Zuppy. Just a third TC, no real military presence. Well, not actually, no, sorry. He's got a decent amount. It's just all patrolling around behind his base. So all the action at the moment left hand is going to be on this right hand side. Yeah, I'll get so many messages from random people whilst he's playing games. Lovecheng at least with the crossbow upgrade now. Gonna help him defend it, especially if he manages to take a good hill. But Max's knights are free and in the back of his base. Could have really caught out these villagers here, but the quick wall will go up in time, and Paladin will be able to bring crossbows back to attack those knights if they lay siege to the palisade wall. But actually, Yo's here to help out as well, and Pike is just going to go home. Seems the player's still having a lot of trouble with lag with saying that Paladin is FP. It might explain why we see players being a little bit passive as well. Might be unwilling to commit to engagements in lag, in really heavy lag that fast proxy causes. I wonder if Yo's onto 4th TC yet. Not just yet, it seems. Zuppy seems to be very, very inactive with that army of crossbows that he has. He's just heading out now. He has a good number, like 27 crossbows is an amount that can really start shredding armies, but he's not put them to use just yet. Looking at the villager numbers, he's falling a little bit behind Paladin at this point. He's also making a better unit in terms of plumed archers, which are also like very, very cheap for their cost. So I feel like Paladin in a bit of a better game state than Zuppy at the moment, but that may not hold true if Zuppy manages to have an effective attack on, for example, Yo in combination with maybe the Max coming over to help him out. It's going to be interesting, because I think if Zuppy does good damage with this army, then it will definitely have been worth the investment in such a large number of crossbows. But say if quite a lot of it gets killed, then it's going to leave Zuppy pretty vulnerable to Paladin basically hitting him hard within the next, say, 5 to 8 minutes, when Zuppy has lost some of his Castle Age army but not yet ready, like made his Imperial Age army transition. This is looking like a great fight for Zuppy though. This is, I mean, he's going to be like enveloped by those knights and need to go back into the forest and just wait for Max to come. But that was really nice to get all those downhill hits on the knights, and I think if Max was in the right place, he'd be turning and taking this fight very, very handily now. But as it is, slight miscommunication, slight lack of coordination there from Finland mean that it doesn't go that well for Zuppy as it could have done. Have a look what's going on over here. Pike with good numbers of expos as well. Lovecheng with more or less the same, but it seems Lovecheng the one who's trying to apply the pressure, has managed to stop Pike from building up this second TC, or well, presumably it's a third by now. Yeah, third TC outside the front of his base. Seems to have taken down 1 or 2 vills, but that leaves Pike with not that many vills at this point, falling 11 villagers behind his Hun opponent on flank, and that's not something you necessarily expect to see, especially as, you know, Pike wasn't gathering 600. Oh, it's actually, never mind. Yeah, Pike wasn't gathering the 650 stone to go plumes or anything. So surprising to see him falling behind Loveching in terms of vills. And Paladin on the way to the Imperial Age now, which is what I was talking about. He's going to be in a really nice position to mount an early attack on Zuppy and push him, because Zuppy did a lot of crossbows, is not going to be going that quickly to the Imperial Age, and he's Mongols anyway, which is quite explosive to get going when getting in. And then Zuppy lost some of his army on the front, getting slightly caught out by Yo's Knights because the Max was slightly out of position in helping him out with that fight. And in any case, like, plumed archers would be so much better than the crossbowmen, and they're going to get those elite Imperial Age upgrades in, and Paladin is going to be banging on Zuppy's door basically within the next couple of minutes, whilst Zuppy presumably is a long way off the Imperial Age. And in any case, like, being in the Imperial Age with a low number of villages as Mongols wouldn't help him that much anyway. I feel like the Max is going to have to be saving Zuppy at this point, well, in the next few minutes. But the problem for him is that he's got his hands full keeping Yo and Loveching off of Pike at the moment. So the Max has done well. He's got a really great boom. He's got a big villager lead. He's on his way to the Imperial Age, and he'll be able to flood Cavaliers, +4 Cavaliers, really quickly. But I'd say he's going to be stretched a bit thinly. Yo also on the way to the Imperial Age as Mongols in the pocket. Yeah, getting the castle up there, that's his first one, but I assume he'll probably consider it worth investing in Cavalier with that number of knights still on the field. So able to kind of partially match Max's army in that sense, even though Max will have a big overall numbers advantage. For example, if Max went over to the left to defend against Paladin's push against Zuppy, like, Yo could help out with protecting Paladin's plumes. Right hand side, Loveching actually going CA transition, coming forward with a Mangonel, going to be looking to get some raiding and harassment on the forward area of Pike's base. This TC has only just gone up for Pike, and it will probably come under pressure straight away. So again, Loveching seems to be kind of moving in on Pike just as he seems to either go to build a TC or just after. And now we're entering that stage of the game when Zuppy's going to be really vulnerable to Paladin. We'll see how fast Paladin's able to push, but this is really nice for Max to potentially take a fight here, although the upgrades on the plumes are pretty good. It's got Elite and Bracer already, and Yo is there, so Max doesn't want to be there at all. And with Chemistry about to kick in, that makes it even more undesirable for Max to be hanging around here, and the only reason he's still here is because he wants to get his knights inside the wall of Zuppy so that he can help defend once Cavalier and Plate Barding kicks in, because there's no way that Zuppy can fight this alone, and this could go pretty well for the Max given that he's just got so many knights here. He'd have loved to have this fight taking place in about 20 seconds time when Cavalier and +4 would kick in, but even so, the numbers have made that a very, very nice win for him there, a nice trade. And basically all of Yo's knights going down, but Yeah, I was just about to think, why aren't those palisades being deleted? Now the Cavalier +4 kicks in. Paladin has to retreat. But that makes 2 players on the side of the Finnish team basically preoccupying themselves with stopping Paladin at this point. Although that's actually unfair. Max does have some Cavaliers here helping out as well. So I think it's a great game by Max, and like the fact that he's able to commit so many troops to both sides whilst having the best boom in the game, really impressive. And Love Cheng is just not equipped to fight against this, only on the way to the Imperial Age himself right now, and not really with anywhere near enough CA to take on what is an almost equivalent number of Cavaliers. Love Cheng will go with the Paladin transition in Imperial Age now, because that's his role as Huns. He's the only Paladin civ here. Taking this fight just outside his base, and he should have the numbers to make this a favourable trade, but the Mangonel coming in and going to do huge damage, especially if it gets another shot, and that's starting to look like a really nice fight again for the Max. Let's take a look at the left hand side. Still basically 2v1 here because Yo is busy getting elite Mangudai and stuff, so he's kind of letting his two flanks fight against 3, which, you know, they're doing okay because they're not losing ground really by any means. Love Cheng arguably, but Paladin still with a little bit of forward momentum about him. But I think that this is going to be something that's really important moving forward, is that like in the next 10 minutes is that Yo is already in basically imp Mongol mode. He's already got multiple castles, he's got upgrades on his elite Mangudai, and he's ready to go, whereas Mongol player for Finland in Zuppi is only now hitting the Imperial Age, and he's 15 villages behind Yo and a lot slower in terms of transition, which you'd expect because he's his flank and Yo is pocket, and Zuppi's had a lot more in terms of opposition directly on his doorstep and had to make more military, etc. But obviously, like, having a Mongol player closer to the kind of endgame mode is a big advantage for China, whilst Zuppi catches up. That said, the Max continues to be a big factor as well, getting Paladin well ahead of Love Cheng. Again, the pocket of flank dynamic playing into that, but the Max's ability to help his teammates hold with early Cavalier and now Paladin has been really important. And I've also liked the way he's positioned and timed his movements with them as well. Zuppi actually getting Arbalest and elite skirmisher, so trying to directly fight the elite plumed archers with a counter unit like elite skirmisher, rather than going straight away for that transition into Mangudai or anything like that, which I think is a fair thing, because as soon as Love Cheng starts to become more of a serious factor over here with a lot of Cavaliers and Paladins, then Max won't be able to help Zuppi as well, and I think elite skirmish is a good choice to help him buy a little bit of time against the fact that he's being pushed by plumes. But nonetheless, Max does manage to maintain a good number of Paladins here for now. It's not yet come that he's having to divert basically all of them to the right. But Yo in such good shape right now that he's sending 1,000 food to Love Cheng and 1,000 wood to Paladin. Zuppi actually going to go Onager, which is really nice against Mayans that are just doing plumes. Paladins for Max moving in, but not really able to get too much of a surround up to now, but starting to look a bit better, a lot more of those plumes being encircled, and they're starting to be completely swallowed up there. It's looking like a nice fight for Max. Even if he loses a decent number of Paladins, it really slows down Paladin's push against Zuppi, buys him that time to get Onager, for example. And Elite Skirmish is doing a good job firing into that melee as well. And Paladin has lost a hell of a lot of plumes there, as well as having a castle denied on what is basically 99%. Wow. Right hand side, Love Cheng pushing away some of Pike's elite plumes. Love Cheng now with paladins of his own, of course, which means he'll be in good shape to fight against Pike. Paladins versus elite plumes, obviously going to win all day long. But Max maintains very, very heavy presence here. Issue for him is that Yo is starting to push directly on him. We can see this yellow blob making its way across the map. It's actually a horde of elite Mangudai crossing into the Finnish side of the map, and they're going to be able to, if they want to do a lot of raiding, perhaps even try and find a trade route which is just starting to be established for Finland. And actually that seems to be possibly on his mind. He's not going to find a lot of trade carts to destroy just yet, but it is something. What's happening here. I don't think this wall to try and keep the trade safe for Zuppy is going to stand that long, because it's going to be so easy for Paladin to just ram or petard through that. Like finding a corner for safe trade for Finland is going to be hard, because holding the left corner will be really tough, and I think Love Cheng could probably have that right corner on lockdown if he wanted to. This could be a really nice trap on the elite Mangudai if Max manages to seal them into the corner. See how this trade goes down, because this could be really decisive, because the elite Mangudai are a big a lot of lag randomly in the game there. Elite Mangudai is a big factor creating a difference between the two teams at the moment, but Yo's kind of been lured into the Max's trap, and they've been all taken down here. But even so, looking at Yo's military, it's not actually depleted his military numbers that much. That's because he's got a whole bunch more in the middle of the map, taking out loads of Max's villages here. So many spots to pay attention to at the moment, because look at the left, we see Paladin in combination with some of Love Cheng's paladins. I swear this Paladin guy, he just makes it so annoying when there are paladins being fielded by the players. Those two in combination have really started to hurt Zuppy now. He's down to just 52 villages and 75 population. And there's just no way he's ever going to be doing Mangudai or anything like that. It's going to be a case of trying to hold on with SOs, by the looks of it, an occasional SO and some elite skirms. Not really optimal when Yo is just doing whatever he likes. He's not popped yet, but he's been... Even though he just lost 20 Mangudai at least in the back of Max's base, he's got another 30 here. He's been sending resources to his allies. The Chinese have got a full map edge trade route going on. The right hand corner is on lockdown for them, and Love Cheng is also looking in good shape to push against Pike. So left flank has kind of crumbled for Finland. They don't really have a good trade route at this moment in time. And Yo is looking like he will just be an absolute menace. In a 3v3 where, just losing one player makes a big difference, the fact that it's getting to 50 minutes and Finland have lost their Mongol player, and whereas China have a very powerful Mongol player in play, is something that would be very decisive. And it's, as I began to explain that, Finland called GG, so they were probably looking at Zuppy's situation and the fact that it's Mongols versus no Mongols basically, and trade versus no trade, and calling GG. So big comeback in this series for China, because they were 2-0 down, and as I kind of mentioned earlier, they started winning the moment Paladin turned up. So SY Fengxin, Paladin, the leader of SY and the kind of leader of the Chinese AOC community, I guess, has made a huge difference in this series. The personnel for Finland remained the same throughout. Like Max, Pike, Zuppy playing all the games, and Yo and Love Cheng played all the games, but it was the kind of rotating of China's third player that was very noticeable, because as soon as Paladin came in Game 3 and stayed in, China won the remaining 3 games 3-0. So, strategic mastermind entering the fray. You can see that Zuppy really suffered in that game. And Yo obviously with good kills to death, but Paladin the same thing as well, which, you know, when you're mines and you've got a good kill to death ratio and your units are so cost effective, as on top of that, that's a big deal. Right, that is most certainly me done for the night. Smarthy, you're asking, is that me done for the streaming? Yep, I've been streaming, casting for 3 hours, and my voice is starting to go. I said it before Game 5 or Game 4, I can't remember. Yeah, definitely need to rest the voice, but I hope you enjoyed that, guys. It's something I've been looking forward to seeing these games for a long time now, and promising to cast them to you, and I finally managed to do that. Definitely worth it, because it was a really interesting series. Aside from the Oasis game, which was a snore fest, and I mentioned during that game that I was worried it could develop into that, because just it's so easy to just wall, and it was basically a Mitchie game where they cut at 30 minutes, and both teams did the exact same thing, but one team just did it 1 or 2 minutes faster and didn't quite re-wall as well, and that was it. But yeah, that series, really nice series, and some like foreshadowing some of the upcoming games that we're going to have, because you're going to see similar sorts of settings to that, similar sorts of games, albeit in 4v4, in the upcoming Clan Masters, the final showdown, which the Chinese community is putting on and backing to the tune of $30,000. That is going to start up in June, I believe. It will be covered very heavily here on Vibly Official, so I hope you're all looking forward to that. A few people have been asking questions or mentioning it during the chat and during the stream tonight. It's nice to see that there's some buzz about that already. But yeah, that's me done for the night. Thanks very much for watching the games, and see you soon.